Hello there everyone and welcome to Bachocolio Streams. As usual, I am Bachocolio and today I will keep on working on my Necromunda Goliath gang. Mostly building up some bodies, some torsos, chest pieces, heads, and probably looking around options for accessorizing some of them. Hope you're all doing fine. Hope you're comfortable. Whether or not you'll be participating in chat or using me as just a background while working on your own projects, I hope that we will have a lovely time together. So, we're having a bit of a tropical weather these past few days. So, blistering heat all day, and just as the evening starts to set in, some rather pouring rains, which makes the weather pretty heavy. Top that with the accumulated wear and tear of a long workday, and you get me in a pretty exhausted and sleepy state, so I apologize in advance if I am even lazier and more easygoing than usual, as much as that is possible at all. So, how have you all been doing? Is there anything anyone would like to share before we get down to the nitty-gritty of it and start snipping some pieces off and cleaning up some mode lines and the good old rotation of activities? Just put my cardboard cheat sheet to remember where my center is. Let's give a few more minutes for everyone to get around to join up. Now, while I do realize that this is more or less a fairly standard build project, and probably aside from making the limbs interchangeable to allow for various loadouts, there aren't that many particularities or interesting things about it. But I just wanted to use the opportunity to again test out the stream capabilities, the camera, the setup in general, and prepare for more challenging projects. And as I mentioned last time, there are some pretty challenging projects in the future. And in addition, this is something that I have wanted to prepare for a very, very long time. I think that it's going to be about a year in just a couple of months, yeah. If that doesn't give you a good indication on how I advance through projects, I don't know what will. Yeah. I'm just checking the focus. The bottom part, it appears to lose up a bit. But since so, it will be juggling the model around, should be more elevated and therefore in focus. So yeah, after the Goliath project, there are some much more interesting things in purely a building standpoint. There will be a lot more cutting and converting, as this would include my eventual orc team for Blood Bowl. There's going to be a lot of cutting, kit bashing. I think that I will be using a total of 3 kits. No, more, 4 kits. So aside from the original orc team sprue from GW, I will be splicing that one with many pieces of 40k gear, 40k orcs, all from the Stormclaw pack. So lots of boys, lots of knobs. Killer can bits. And some specifically bought items from Cromlech. So that would be 2 manufacturers and 4, maybe 5 kits in total. And in case you show an inordinate amount of interest, I may also be persuaded to finally engage in Gunpla. So I have a Gundam in pieces, but this will be a monster of a challenge to put together. I got a rather cheap knockoff of a Gundam kit a while ago, and as usual I'm just waiting for a hobby slot to free up so I can start working on it. So be sure to let me know if you have interest in Gunpla, if you want me to build a Gundam, which will probably be over the course of many months. But until then, bringing us back to the present, we have these dudes to worry about. As Itsanef confirmed yesterday, I will not need to build all of the bodies, so 6 or 7 will suffice for a startup gang. So I don't think I will be going overboard and making way too much streams about building these guys up, as I have a functioning prototype. Let me just get this one out. Here it is. Since we haven't been able to figure out how to work the loadout switches, which is to say pinning with some stick attack, as I will demonstrate in a second, just to bring everybody up to speed in case you have missed the previous build stream. So this is what we get. We have the ability to take it apart. It is pinned with a piece of paper clip, and the drilled holes have been insulated with some sticky tack in order to always provide adhesion to the paper clip. If I apply this same technique to the other models, we will be able to make something modular. It will be easier to paint, and once everything is done, it will be easy and quick to switch out kits and loadouts. So hopefully this will work out well. And so let's look through the models that we have. Let's get the sprue that I have already started cutting into and see which of the torsos we will liberate this time from their sprue prison. And I'm thinking that it's going to be this guy. This guy right here. This would be his leg, this would be his body. And after we put these things apart, well, together actually, I will look through for some for a chest piece and a head that we can put on this buff dude. So let's get our trusty clippers and don't stall this out anymore. As usual, using the flat part of the clippers against the model in order to get a flush as possible cut. Being careful not to remove any material from the model itself, only the sprue bits. There we go. And one last piece that is here. Okay. I will keep everything else on the sprue for now, just in order to avoid... Hey, it's Anif, how are you? Nice of you to join. I'm just starting to work on my second dude. Oh, good to hear that. Cheers. Yeah, well, as I was saying earlier, this whole build project will not be the most interesting or challenging one in terms of conversions or kit bashing, but it will be a nice start for the stream. I'll get this thing just the tiniest bit closer. And I will take out my X-Acto knife so I can cut off any remaining pieces of the sprue. Yeah, I hope that they will turn out very cool. I won't insist on painting them before we play with them because that will take way too much time. So just as soon as I build the essentials so that they have bodies and heads and a few sets of armaments, I will be ready to go. Have you made any progress with your Venators? In the meanwhile? It was Venators. I'm not being crazy, yeah? Almost done with the leader, alright. You're not very happy with how you did? How so? In which aspect? The build or the paint? The painting aspect. Well, unlike the build portion, the paint is something that you can always touch up later or strip altogether, so it really shouldn't be something to keep you. That being said, I know you're being very modest with what you put out, so I'm going to reserve judgment until I actually see it, since you usually put out some pretty good paint jobs and builds. So I'm just gonna start smoothing out. Highlighting metal is very challenging, I agree. Especially yellow metallics are very difficult. With silver metallics, with gray metallics, you can get away fairly, well, not easy per se, but it's much more manageable than the yellows. That being said, you can always do the heavy metal team cheat and just do the edge highlights of the golds with a touch of silver and call it done. But yeah, I've been struggling with the same thing on the Norse team. If I go, so I use a darker base color, so almost a copper, and then I try to highlight it with a gold. However, it gets a stark contrast in that the tone is completely different. The overall hue changes drastically, and even if I try to smooth it out with blends, it doesn't help much. So I can either keep it in a darker hue altogether, or risk going high contrast, which makes it stick out from a distance, but if you take it up close, it really doesn't look good. What kind of metallic paints are you using? Are you using the GW ones? Because they are bad. You can make them, some of them, yeah. I recently heard that the Vallejo metallics are a good water-based acrylic solution. Because if you scale 75 Vallejo, yeah, these are the good ones. If you want to keep things in the water-soluble range, since metallics really start to shine, and the really high quality metallics are always either lacquers or enamels, and the difference is really noticeable. I have been talking to you, and I have mentioned before the Mr. Hobby range of super metallics, the Mr. Metal or something, that gives out a finish that you can actually buff out, so it creates a buffable coat. But yeah, I also would like to stay away from enamels and lacquers as much as possible, as it creates it opens a whole new can of worms, both in terms of a health hazard, the smell, the entirely different types of thinners and brush cleaning mediums and all that. It's just too much of a hassle. So at some point I will be upgrading my metallics to Vallejo and just stick with them. Because the GW just don't cut it. They are in this horrible inner space where if you use them too thick, they create an additional texture, and if you dilute them as much as you would usually dilute an acrylic paint, it just puts you in the position where you have to put 5 or 6 layers to get anything near an opaque color. And it's just tiresome, since most of the models I have painted so far only use small detailing for metallics, and just putting that one simple drop of paint on a small detail over and over and over and over until it gets to an opaque point is annoying. I'm not an impatient man, but that just curves me the wrong way. How's the weather been treating you, by the way? I have already managed to complain about our somewhat tropical climate that we've had around, and the fact that it keeps me in a constant state of grogginess. How do you fare in such weather? Yeah, you have mentioned before that you sleep little in general. I see. You manage to remain blissfully ignorant of the effects. That's nice, being impervious to the weather. I have punched up the volume of both the mic and the music a little bit, so if it's too loud or if I'm spiking, please let me know. On the equalizer I am not yet spiking, so it shouldn't have any modulations. Oh right, it's cool, good. Another thing I already mentioned once, but I don't know if you were online, was the fact that I have admitted to actually having bought a Gunpla kit. So I actually have a Gundam that I can start building at some point. And I was wondering if anyone would be interested in watching me. Gunpla is the type of modeling that takes Gundam and other large mecha type kits, plastic kits, to put together. The interesting thing about them is that they are multi-part, but multi-part in the hundreds, so hundreds of pieces. It doesn't use any glue, No glue is required to put them together, and all of the joints are articulated. And you have to actually build and put together every single joint articulation. And when I say joint, I mean all the way up to the fingertips. So the fingers of the model are articulated as well. Yeah. And the model is about 15 to 20 centimeters tall. So you can imagine the kind of detail that they are going into. And a while ago I found a bit of a bargain to get one of these kits, and it's been sitting on my shelf for a million years, as most of them do. But I brought it up when I was talking about simple builds and more complicated builds, and that this being a fairly straightforward build, the next one I would like to be more challenging and therefore be able to demonstrate different build techniques. And I think that a Gundam would be an option, although I think I will be sticking to the Orc team as a next project. Simply because if I start the Gundam, it'll probably take me a couple of years with my standard speed. Not something that would be particularly feasible. So let's dry fit this leg. This will not go together well. Oh, there it is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so for the painting part, there really isn't that much to paint. Most of the pieces are pre-painted, so the pieces come on different sprues like this one, and the sprues themselves are pre-colored. So it's colored plastic. It's not paint over the plastic. The plastic itself has different colors depending on the pieces. So as far as painting goes, it's mostly panel lining, and if you feel like it, weathering and chipping. So it does have painting, but in a different direction overall. Still, I can at least start it at some point and let you see what I'm talking about, and hopefully finish it by the time I have grandkids. No, I'm all of these things that I'm constantly mentioning to have already referred to were actually in the beginning of this stream. I just managed to ramble consistently. Yeah. I'm just jumping from one topic to another. Okay, so let's try this technique. Yep, goblins will be a fun thing. But why do you think that there will be no new coaches for the league? They won't make it to Skaven already. Who is playing Skaven besides George? Yeah, I told them about 5 times to write on the wall, just to mention it. Oh, Augie is changing to Skaven. That's cool. I told them about 5 times already. Just write a message on the wall in the group that you will be participating. And they went, yeah, sure. So they haven't done that yet. Also, they won't make it for the 7th tournament as they will be going on vacation. Which is something I found out today. Again, something they could have told me. Yeah, no, it's not that it's a problem, it's just I have been asking them quite a while to tell, just to keep me in the loop of what's happening. For the moment, yes. For the moment, they are interested in the league. However, as mentioned previously, I don't know how organized they will be in terms of playing the games. But let me know, well, I will know looking at the website when the league starts, and I will bug them again just for a final confirmation. Just to let us know, not to keep us waiting. But overall, they will join. Yes, well, at the end of this week, I won't be here either, as I already mentioned. It's going to be challenging. This part of the year is always challenging for organizational purposes. Oh, in right. Well, in that case, I will. Right, in that case, I will ask them tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, I will ask them to let me know if they will join, and I will let you know in the Facebook group. Okay. And in case they will, I will make the teams on their behalf and just give you the rosters. Now, here is a very important aesthetic question. Do you think 2 skulls are too much? What do you think? Would a skull on the chest plate and a skull on the belt be too much? Skulls are never too much. I think so as well. So yeah, another skull it is. Unless I bring everything down. Go on then. Why is this causing me so much problems? Oh, there we go. This is what happens when you have a cluttered workspace. The dimensions of the sprue are wrecking everything around, rendering you incapable of clipping off the simplest of bits. So not counting my two colleagues, how many people are we for the 7th tourney? 6? So far? 4, just the 4? Oh. Sad. Considering 7s is so much lighter and easier to play, you would think that there would be more people expressing an interest in it. Oh well. So who's the 4th one? So you have me, you, Pig in Space. Is Roro Rimbo the 4th contestant? Will he be traveling? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Haven't seen him in person since our last tournament, so it would be a fun get together. Again, just dry fitting the pieces together. What's this one? I really should put image scene. I thought about it today and forgot about it. Oh, this is so nice, yeah. It's it's a wastelandy map with some industrial bits, and the industrial bits have the black and yellow stripes for anyone watching but unable to see the link. It's a really pretty. It's a Mad Maxy and yet specifically industrial mat. It's really good. So where do I put the glue on this thing? Oh, I'll put it here. Okay. Excellent for Necromunda, I would say. Yeah, definitely. And by the way, this is something else that I can be doing on the build stream after I build the Goliaths. I have had a couple of sheets of plasticard for about a million years now that I have always intended for terrain purposes. And I can look through some simpler designs for walls or buildings, and I can play around with carving and building some terrain. Since that has been an interest of mine, I've been looking for options, and I think that I do have the tools. Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly plasticard, it's the thicker compound. No, of course not. I haven't built anything yet, but I have been gathering materials for 3 years. So oh no, don't worry about it. No, I haven't built anything, but I have some sheets of the thicker type of styrofoam, the one that's used for insulation, exterior insulation for apartments, and that lends itself pretty well to building different types of terrain. And I've been waiting for an idea for a project to put it to use, so this is again something that we can put to use. Yeah. Also, various bits and pieces of cardboard and what have you. Some people might call me yeah, actually, if you can send me any pictures of them, I can get the proportions and think about what I can either replicate or create with some modifications. But yeah, it's food for thought. It's something that we can put to use. Sure, no problem. So I think that a gas mask head would fit an overly skulled out dude pretty well. If we are going skull themed, might as well go all the way. Again, using the X-Acto knife, I am trimming the larger portion of what's left of the sprue on the model. And then I will come back with my files and bring things down to an even smoother finish. And I think that this would be a good opportunity to show off my little DIY tool, which is there it is, this thing. Now what this is essentially a sheet of sanding paper that I've cut out and I just glued to the end of a matchstick, making a sort of a miniature file. Now, why would I use this one instead of a regular file? Well, mainly the grit, since this here is about a 6,000 grit. I have to check on the back, but it's really fine grit. And it is great for giving it a nice buff finish, completely smoothing out what could have been left from the coarser diamond files. Naturally, as you can imagine, the biggest problem that you would have with such a contraption, especially with this type of grit, is that material that you have sanded off fills in the grit really quickly. So I should be going through a fair amount of these in rapid succession, since unlike the files, I can't just go in with the toothbrush and clean them out. But I have a couple of fairly large sheets of this grit of sandpaper, so I shouldn't have issues there. Right, so another thing our dude will need is hair or hairpiece. And the hairpiece that would best suit a person of such a amount of skulls would be probably this one. Yeah, probably this one. The spiky one. Because of course, skulls and spiky bits go together like peanut butter and jelly. There is just something natural about skulls and spiky bits. And just cleaning out the sprue. Trying to focus not to lose way too many fingers in the process. Although I display some lizard-like qualities, such as liking to sit in warm places, I have not yet managed to grow back limbs, so I would like to keep most of them, if at all possible. Okay, now the fiddliest part of this project. Getting the head down. doesn't seem to fit. Strange. How come though? That's weird. This is probably for a smaller head. One without the additional... Oh, wait, no, never mind. How about now? Yeah, I think the helmety part creates the tiniest bit of additional texture that will make it not stick. Yeah. So we will leave this hairpiece for a different head and go back hunting in the spruce. So maybe this one. This one seems flat enough without any additional ornaments on the side, so it'll probably fit. I should actually be able to check it out on the sprue itself. No, I won't be, so guess I'll be cutting it all then. Straight into the cutting. Yep. Every tutorial I have ever seen about the use of an X-Acto knife speaks of going opposite to your fingers, so outward. But I have never managed to find a way to use it in this way and maintain any control of what it is that I'm cutting. So in this case, unfortunately, I have to go against the recommended. Yeah, so do I. But in every tutorial, they have always said to go outward. But I can't maintain any control of the cut. Still though, I haven't had many accidents, knock on wood. Not many blade related accidents. You don't have right thumb fingerprints. Well, as long as you don't use them to unlock your phone, I think you should be fine. Also, there might be some people that would find this more than a little useful. The movie Seven comes to mind. I've recently rewatched it, and did you see this DIY tool that I talked about? The make your makeshift file with sanding paper glued on the... yeah, okay. Good, good. Just checking out. Okay, yeah, see, this one fits like a glove. Wonderful. Oh, so it's actually a bit wasteful to glue it. If it's two-sided. Well, it depends on how much you have overall. As I said, I have two huge sheets of the stuff, so I have more than enough to do dumb stuff with. This actually snags together so well. I have a good mind not to put any glue on it, but I will just in case. Tiniest drop. As it comes though. Sometimes you have to help the glue. Oh, there we go. Oh, too much. Gonna spill. Okay, good. I did not manage to ruin this one. So that is one small achievement for me right there. While doing it, I also noticed some mold lines here and there. These need to disappear. Hunt down the mold lines. Well, I say that, but I always leave multiples. Yep, that's good. Or at the very least, good enough. This is fairly important advice for anyone that is either going into this hobby right now or has been in it for a while. Learn when to say it's good enough. Unless you have been doing this for decades or you have been professionally trained in any of the various aspects of it. Striving for perfection will just get you to burn out and not enjoy what you're doing. Never! Alright, well, that's an opinion then. As long as it doesn't kill your drive to work on the models, it's fine. This is merely precautionary words in order to avoid burning out. Okay, well. Isn't he a handsome devil? This hole in the middle of his skull. Yeah, if I do say so myself. Do you think that there is a part for this little hole right in the middle where the nose should be? Let me look through the sprue. Where did I cut this head from? So this is the cigar. This is 25, piece 25. Where is it? Is there a 26? Yeah, there is. There is a piece 26. Oh. It shouldn't matter. Right then, well, that's actually one dude done. So I am feeling confident. It does seem it's a hole, but there isn't a part adjacent to the head. But it should be headpiece number 54, I suppose. And so if it's connected to anything, it should be 55. Where is 55? Unless I'm blind. 4, 17, 51, 54. 25, just 5. 55 is a body? Okay. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. It's probably just a design. It's probably just a way too good of a detail. GW getting so good at this. A breathing hole, yeah. Which makes the gas mask an interesting thing to have. Second row, let me check this. Oh yeah, here he is. Zoom that thing in. Yeah, it's just a hole. Okay. Sometimes a hole is just a hole. Yeah, it's just that the mouthpiece with the cigar got me all nervous that there are other elements that are of such fine detail. For anyone who hasn't been able to join last time, let me just demonstrate that there is a head. This one, head 46, has a slot at the bottom left of the lip, and here piece 47 is actually a cigar that goes in. And so seeing a similar hole in this head got me thinking that there might be another such insanely small detail to look for. So yeah, Scully, I think I will call him Scully, is done. Here he is for your viewing pleasure. Oh yeah. I'm just stretching my back out a little bit. Yeah, feels good. So let's take a look at who is next on the chopping block. We have three more bodies on this sprue. And I think that this time I will go with the ready one, with the spiky one. Or rather, should I use the opportunity that I have a bit more time and do the legless one first? Yeah, let's do the legless one first until I'm still sort of fresh. And see how much of these guys we can put together in one sitting. It's 10 minutes past the hour, so I should be able to get at the very least 2 more bodies completed. I will try for 4, but probably get to 3. Either way, we'll see. Excuse me. No worries, Ethan. If go around all your chores and the exercises. I can just ramble on and on. Not a problem for me. I have also been trying to get back in some better shape recently, since the karate class that I'm teaching is out for the summer, since I am teaching children that are in school. So our classes are tied with the school schedule. So as the summer comes, I would need to find some other areas to get my sweat on, excluding, of course, right now under these lights. I've been doing a bit of jogging just to keep up my heartbeat. Bit more cardio and build some endurance. But the weather, as we're having it, doesn't leave me with that many choices. Well, it does leave me with other choices, but as usual, when you manage to find an excuse, why let it go to waste? Which is very wrong as an approach. But for the time being, it is what it is. Again, so after clipping the body from the sprue, cleaning up the parts and bits of sprue, trying not to dig into the model itself. As you may notice, I prefer going down and up. So I make sure to only scrape off the pieces of the sprue and leave the natural detail of the model intact. There will always be a bit of beveling unless I take an hour to clip this pedantically. So again, just going with the mold removing tool, scrape off at a bit of an angle to smooth out any potential beveling from the scraping process. The plastic is malleable enough to get a good scrape even if I don't push down particularly hard. It's not like when I'm using the hand drill, where I have to apply significant pressure in order to avoid spinning in place. Here there is an additional mold line that wasn't present in the other models across the butt cheek and the back part of the thigh. And you may say, well, it's barely noticeable. Why do you even bother? Well, as I will show you next time, as you apply the primer, which is more matte, every single imperfection of the mold becomes painfully apparent. So even though right now with the glossy, more satin finish of the plastic itself, it doesn't become an eyesore. As soon as you matte that down with the primer, you're gonna see it way too well. And in addition to this, if you apply shade washes or dry brushing or any technique that takes advantage, that works off of the details, recesses and edges, it emphasizes these imperfections even further. So just as with the base colors that you're putting on, ensuring that these prep stages are done as neatly as possible will be a solid foundation for the entire project's life cycle. Because otherwise you will notice it. I have overdone it a bit here, so I will start progressively smoothing out around the created bevel, bringing down the entire surface just a notch to smooth out the surface as a whole. All right. So going on this side, again the thigh. When you are smoothing out larger surfaces, you don't really need the brush to clean up the scrape access. Using your finger is good enough. It's only when you're getting into more detailed, rougher areas where you might require it. And moving on further still. Scrapey, scrapey all the night long. Nice to be able to take this tiny bit of additional time to prepare your model, since the last time I did this I was overly excited to put the models together and my prepping was less than stellar, so making amends to the plastic gods. Cleaning my conscience as I am scraping these mold lines. Alrighty. So that part of the torso is done, and we will now get his feet. Always a good idea to support the part that you're clipping, just to avoid it from flying off into the sunset or in your eye. This goes especially true when you're cutting off bits and pieces of paper clips. They tend to fly all over the place. These pieces are fairly clean and mold line free. Just the tiniest specks here and there, but this is actually a perfect cast. Lovely. Whoops. I've gone out of frame for a moment there, sorry about that. That's one boot and one more. Get our plastic dude some footwear. I don't know why, but I've taken a particular fondness for the term plastic dudesman. In case you don't know, there's also a series of short comics of the same name. I really found this as an endearing term. for the models that we are spending so much time with. I had an ex-girlfriend who referred to them as battle Barbies, which I guess is fair enough. Oh, and look what we found. A sneaky mold line. Where have you been hiding? I got you though. There you are. Sneaky, sneaky mold line. Okay. I think, yeah, I got it. Good. Good. How about this leg then? How does it fit into this whole conundrum? Fairly straightforward, yeah. Okay. I am applying way too much glue. Hopefully it no longer oozes out. I used to apply even more when I started out, and there was glue just everywhere, which creates a texture in and of itself that you need to go in and clean up as you would a mold line. But you really don't need that amount to make a stable connection. These minis are almost weightless if they are made of plastic or resin, so it needs very little, if at all possible. You might want to put a less than paper thin coat, but spread it out across the surface. This will make the bond dry quicker, and you will get the end result faster and without any defects, without any post-fit wobbling of the pieces that you've glued together. Okay, so the body of this guy is done. Unfortunately, he cannot... Oh yeah, he can stand on his own. Pretty stable, these Goliath models. They are not the most dynamic poses, but they are stable on their own. I usually enjoy seeing models that can stand without being stuck to a base, though naturally that does restrict the potential for dynamic posing. Still, I consider it more of a plus than a minus. What do we want chest piece wise? So he is a spiky dude. So following in the tradition of Scully Dude, I believe we will go spiky. Although he has both spikes and skulls. And so I think the spiky skull chest piece would go nicely. Back when I was starting to build models, and the first kit I ever put together was a Space Wolves tactical kit. And while it had a lot of variety and posability, there were about 2 restrictions in terms of body and head combinations, and I managed to mess up both of them. So I managed to cover it up so it doesn't... You can't really tell unless you yourself have been building multiple Space Wolf models. My light seems to be flickering. Okay.
Are you ready?
It's strange why it flickers like that. Since the ends of these straps of the chest pieces, of the breastplates, chest plates, or whatever you want to call them, are very small, I can't scrape with the X-Acto knife to reach a good smooth blend of the material, which is why I will go through the file and sandpaper combo.
Are you ready?
Just quickly buff it out. Sandpaper flies off into never before explored skies.
Are you ready?
we having another not for this piece moment? Doesn't appear to be the case. Yeah.
They talk about another kind of world. Another kind of
And let's just go for another one, just in case. Just in case. What's a good one? I have this one with the collar. And the spiky one. I'll probably reserve for the spiky one. And there should be one more. Oh, they are a set amount, aren't they? Well, that's disappointing. Okay, so the colored one it is. Yeah, so apparently there isn't as much customization freedom for some of the parts. For instance, if we take a look at the numbering, this number 37 is actually a chest plate and should go on body number 35. Which is strangely limiting. I'm not really a fan of such customization limitations, especially when they are not particularly apparent, but whatever. We'll make it work. Plastic and glue. With a bit of effort, everything will fit together perfectly, or at the very least to a satisfactory level. Okay. And just buff the tips with the sandpaper. And I think I should prepare a new one for next time. Because this one is almost completely gunked up. Alright. Let's go for the dry fit. Oh yeah. Perfect. Good. Again, I put way too much glue. And just hold it together with a little bit of pressure for about 10-15-ish seconds to let the glue set, and then it should be able to dry and strengthen the bond on its own. So we are done with that as well. Can he still maintain? No, this gives him just a little bit of weight to the top to offset the balance of the model. Bad. Excuse me for just a moment, I'll go refill my water glass. And I am back. And in search for a head. What is an interesting head to put on this guy? Considering he already has this thingamajig. No worries, Etanif. Not a problem, not a problem. Don't even feel the need to explain. It's perfectly fine. So, should I give him a normal head? I'm kind of liking this one. Number 51. Yeah, I'm trying to keep a balance between between the more helmeted heads and the clearer heads. Naturally, Cigar Face is going to be present probably for the next body. And the next sprue I will most definitely putting on this and this and yeah, these are the ones that pop with some amount of difference. So let's clean up. As the detail here is so fine, cleaning out the sprue is finicky. Although not impossible. Naturally, all of these kits were designed with the idea to be put together, so I'm just gonna be a bit more quiet in this segment. Make sure I don't scrape any of the details on the face. Hey, Pig in Space. Glad you could join us. Etanif is here with me, keeping me company on this rainy Tuesday evening. As we are putting a few more models together. Hard some work earlier? What do you mean? Were you hard at work? Oh yeah, I did see that that you're looking for a new place. Did you manage to find anything at least decent? Thank you. With the additional jawline here, it does give some character. Well, here's hoping that you managed to find something. I don't know if there are any fluctuations during the summer period in terms of better deals for something, as there is with, let's say, job hunting, where the summer is pretty much a dead period. Oh, there's so much glue. Oh, this is gonna drip, I just know it. Dang it. No, it's not corrosive. This instant glue, it's not corrosive. It does create some texture if it drips out of the seams, but it doesn't eat through the material. It's the other one, it's the turpentine based glue that does the melting. Yeah, if we manage to get 10 people for the league, that would be a record amount. I think it should be, because if you can see the way it's detailed on the inside, it looks like it does look like a Vox, like a loudspeaker. So this is probably the body of for the leader. For the furnace plate. Ah, okay, okay. So it's I'm not sure really. I'm just playing off the sprues that I have. Not haven't looked at any instruction manuals. I'm just letting my imagination drive my hand in this ordeal. So yeah, in terms... Yeah, but I want to see that after I've done mine. Oh no, I haven't read the rules. Yet. Oh, did it go well? Or would you know the results? Well, I have already admitted multiple times that I Cool. What's this then? Chaos Cult. Okay, yeah. Bound. Hello, Kime. Oh, I can build. Oh, okay. Oh, that's awesome. All right, I am putting this in my favorites straight away. That's cool. That's a neat little summary. Yeah, it would be. Are you thinking about playing on campaign rules? Because I saw that the campaign is an expansion, much like Death Zone was to Blood Bowl 2016 edition. Yeah, after we get comfortable, most likely. Yeah, that's a reasonable approach. Cool. Okay, so I will have a read through. Get the general basics. I did watch a battle report from a while ago. So that might help. Okay, so this is actually dude number 3. So as I suspected, I will probably have time for one more. Did the focus go away now? No, it's back. It's back. Yeah, it's just I mostly work with the models a bit elevated, so this this margin of space loses it a bit. Yeah, okay. Oh wow. So the screenshot is of a train composition, a fairly large industrial, so underhive themed train composition terrain, and it looks fairly well, really well. Especially the locomotive part is amazing. I am a bit iffy on the repetitive tanks behind it, but the locomotive is amazing. And also the industrial building machines also look fantastic. Yes, gray. And to add insult to injury, I don't think I will get any paint on these guys by the time I get them on the table. So the first game will be gray plastic for me as well. Yeah, I know. I know. But if I start painting them, I might not be able to get them on the table before December, so it'd be more beneficial to try a few games. Yeah, me too. Me too. But it's just for the time constraints to ensure that we do get some games by the end of the year. Right then. So, onwards to the next. Which should be this guy. The sprue is hitting the rig a little bit, so I'm sorry if that leads to shaking. Knocking down everything. Cleaning up the connections, just as the last several times. I raised the question to Ethan, but I will take the opportunity while you're here as well. Would you like me to see some Gunpla building? Some Gundam models put together in the future? Oh, right, okay, so it will go. Yeah, macros are good. Very intricate. I actually haven't seen any kits for Macross, Macross Max. Yeah. Haven't been looking too much into them, so it might be just because the... Oh, definitely, definitely. It's just that the popularity of the Gundams and the Gunpla overall drowns all of the less distributed model kits. Monster Artillery have some models. I will check them out. I just figured since I already have a kit gathering dust on the shelf, and I might drown myself in bits and details and make a horrible mess on stream in front of other people, as it is quite a significant leap in complexity from the ones that we are used to putting together. Oh, and it's Bandai again. Okay. Oh yeah, that's a sweet, sweet, sweet model. Expensive as all hell though. But yeah, that's a good model. 1/200th scale. Gorgeous model. I actually only watched the original Macross, Flying Fortress Macross, the one from the 80s. Yeah, evil and very stalwart. And that was a long time ago, so I don't really remember all of the models. What, the one from the 80s was a short series? I think it was pretty long running. Whoa, okay. I may have lost the ability to watch the more... If I see any series having more than 100 episodes, it kind of throws me off nowadays. Before, I couldn't get enough of the stuff, which is why I probably just burnt out watching them all together. So now I just pick and choose shorter series for a quick anime fix every now and again, but definitely much less often than I used to. And I will admit that mecha wasn't in my preferred genres at the time. Oh, just 36. Felt longer. It certainly felt longer. But it was a good series. I remember it. Yes, there was one where in the 90s that was about 25 episodes, I think. There was the OVA, which was the Macross Plus, I think the most famous one. Oh, that's cool. 2 hours remix. They did a similar thing for Evangelion. They tried to make sense of the whole thing by combining the series into 2 or 3 movies. Yeah, Macross Plus and Zero. I think one was a TV series and one was an OVA, but I might just be talking out of my ass. Yeah, it's a bit too convoluted, Evangelion. It tries to tell a story and then it just gets lost in itself and goes for shock factor over storytelling and just kind of lose it. That being said, if you watched it when it came out, so that would be when I was in my teens. Zero is the short series. Okay. So that's probably the OVA, and the other one, the plus. Again, I don't want to make any assumptions. I really have forgotten. It's been way too long. Since I've seen any of them. There's a channel on YouTube, Bennett the Sage, who makes reviews of old anime, which happen to be mostly the ones that I used to watch. Yeah, okay, so plus is a standalone story. Good. And I get my summaries of things that I missed from that era, mostly from that channel. Anime Abandoned, that's what the channel is called. I don't think that it's so much that is as much a matter of growing up as it is that the formulaic aspects of it just get too samey from one point onward, and it's very difficult to find something original that will keep you interested all the way through. Still though, it was fun for what it was, and yeah, they just go for the shock factor, and after you get used to that shock factor, the whole appeal of the medium sort of loses loses its appeal. Unless you stumble upon one of the rare gems where the storytelling is actually compelling and cohesive, such as one that yeah, and that makes it popular again. One with very decent storytelling and very well, characters are pretty blah, but Jinro was a good one, and it's just a movie, so if you just want to take a short trip back to these times, I can strongly recommend that in case you haven't seen it. Sorry for that. Jinro, the Wolf Brigade. Yeah, Jinro is the name of the movie. Yeah. It does have shock factor moments. Oh yeah, you said so. Now I remember. Yeah. It's good. It has a couple of tearjerker moments when it tries to get into emotional territory. It's a good watch and a quick fix. If exactly, yeah. The right wing squads, yeah. Well said. Zairam, the animation. That doesn't really ring a bell. Is it somewhat new? Because I don't think I've watched anything post 2005. Oh, a horror anime, okay. Sounds good, sounds good. Okay, getting better, actually. Okay, keep talking. This gets tastier with every line written. I am on board for this. Oh, by the way, my opponent, the first movie is from '91. Okay, so it falls into my period of watching, so I'll check it out. Sure, yeah, I'm not saying that it has to be a cinematic masterpiece of any kind. Just something to, as I already said, just get a quick anime fix. So here we are again, figuring out what head to put in. Where are the heads? Heads. There they are. I think I'm gonna go with this one. I've been smacking the camera around whole stream. Okay, and a decent hair piece, or any hair piece. Am I out? of hair? No, there it is. Is there another one though? One hairpiece. That's not good. Seems there are only as many hair pieces as there are bodies. Which means that the one I managed to ruin is not replaceable. All right. No, but I think I can salvage the whole thing, so I think I can work with it. No, no worries. I have plenty of heads. I just wanted to see if I can make do with this. So if I were to clip just a tiny bit of it. Well, using the mistake, usually that's an option, but not in this case. What I can do though is carve out this part here. You're not seeing anything, okay. So carve that part out. So that it doesn't look put a plastic bag on his head. Yeah, that is always a last resort that doesn't necessarily extend only to the limits of miniatures. The headless ganger. He might be. He might be. Although I think I can make this work. Okay, so I have cleaned up most. Give him a goblin head. Actually, with the proportions of the body being so large and the goblin head, it might actually look pretty cool. If you remember the goblins from Warcraft 3, the ones that you could hire, the ones with the with the mechs, they look pretty good. Goblin head with big nose, yeah. Okay, so this is that, and if we put the neck, was the neck supposed to go on then? Like that, probably. The wood choppers, that's right, exactly. They look pretty fun. Oh, there we go. Put it upside down. Yeah. It will fill up the gap. Got one down. Sure thing.
But you try something, I'll rip your face off. 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 I'll rip your face off. 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 Face off.
So if everything goes to plan, I think we may have salvaged the ruined head. More or less.
I'll rip your face off.
Yeah. Only problem is I had to put the neck upside down. I'm gonna file it down to meld it in.
But you try something new, I'll rip your face off. Face off, face off, face off.
What did you share?
Face off, face off, face off, face off, face off, face off.
Yeah, pretty much so. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll rip your face off. I'll rip your face off.
All right. Yeah, he's gonna be a bit of a freak, inevitably. Bye, Tanif. Have a good night. Thanks very much for joining us once again. I won't be too long either. Bye bye. Cheers.
I'll rip your face off.
Right, so I think we can make this contraption work. Again, with a little bit of filing here and there. Should be manageable. Yeah? Ah, the damage on the head was that there was more of the mohawk part, so the head had to fit further back, and it created a gap. So what I did was I ripped off what was left of the neck. I cleaned off the axis, the axis of the sprue that the head couldn't fit into, and I glued the neck upside down. And so now after I file it down a little bit, it should be decent-ish. So yeah, all in all, crisis is averted. But it took more work than it should have. And again, the issue was that I put way too much glue, and by the time I found out I was putting the head on wrong, yep. Yeah. There might not be a need if I manage to put it on, right? Going from somewhere. Oh, I see what you mean. I'll see how it fits in its current state. And if it goes down... Hmm. Yeah, so just a bit shorter here, so I'll file this part more heavily. And we can call this a conversion. Yeah, that's it. I am just making dry fits to see how much I need to take off, how much material I need to remove. As you know, it's easier to take it off than to add more in. Angle will be a problem. I think that's okay-ish. God damn. Still too much neck on this side. Makes him look like he has the mumps. I'll just trim some of it off from the front as well. Officer's door. Yeah. Servitor. It'll be all right. Yeah, well, from the little lore I know about Necromunda, the Goliaths don't. Yeah, it's not the head that's the problem itself, it's the fact that I don't have any more hair pieces. But yeah, there it is. That's how it's gonna be. Oh, you can't see. Oh yeah, that's how it's gonna be. So there, in case I want to finish up the group with the same amount of hair pieces. Unless, otherwise I have to use a different head altogether. Thanks, yeah, I think the damage control was successful. In this case. There will be a bit more filing just to smooth out the neck, and I maybe will apply some of the liquid green stuff to make things look more cohesive. Other than that, yeah, I think it works. Come on. Click there. Okay, yeah, there it is. He will need a bit more work, but overall he's fine. He might be stomping on something. Right. Alright then. Guess I'll just have a smoke. And I will be signing off for now. I did write to my opponent in Reddit for the next Blood Bowl game. So I believe that by this time tomorrow I will write about when we will be playing the game, as you asked earlier today. Yeah, a couple of drops of liquid gap filament. Yeah, I will. I think he did reply, so after I stop the stream, I'll check into it and I'll let you know. And I will check out the anime you recommended. Sounds fun. Yeah, I'm already hooked on it. You made a fair argument. You got me hooked. I'll check it out. Even better. Even better. Right, so I think I will be calling it for today. I managed to get 3 torsos done, so that's pretty good. I will probably do the rest offline. Thank you for joining me. I know that this part isn't your favorite, and I do appreciate that you joined despite of that. So thanks again. Hope you had fun. And I'll be seeing you soon. I won't be streaming until next Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when I schedule our match with my opponent for the last week of the season. But I will be letting you know additionally. So yeah, cheers everyone. Have a lovely evening and see you soon. Bye from me.